Everyone, and welcome to another episode of Content Marketing Engineered. I'm joined today by Natae Shreeves. She's the Content and Brand Marketing Manager at Novaspect. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Where are you coming here from?
I live in Crystal Lake, Illinois, but our offices are in Schaumburg, Illinois.
Okay, how far of a drive is that for you, or are you home office?
We're hybrid, so we're 2 days at home and then 3 days in the office. So it's about an hour drive each
Yeah.
way.
And Novaspect is an Emerson Impact Partner. What is that? What does that mean?
Well, so basically, we are impact partners for Emerson, and there are, I would say, 18 impact partners across the US and Canada. And so we all each have our own territory. So we're the Midwest Emerson Impact Partner.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And you have a pretty interesting backstory I saw on LinkedIn, working in corporate, owning your own business, now working with an industrial company, doing a lot in automation, but heavily involved with this partnership. So that's why I thought it was important to bring it up right up front.
Mhm.
So just let's have some fun here and
Okay.
walk through your career journey.
Well, sure. So I've been in marketing since college, and I started out. I went to school for marketing, and it's just been something that's, I would say, it's in my veins. It's something I've been in love with. It's a very young age, and kind of found my way through my career. Started out. It's always been B2B that I've done professionally. So companies, I would say 100, 200 employees, and but just a very uh, business, a business customer, a client, a financial institution. I work for casino customers, larger enterprise where you're, trying to sell systems, services, solutions, or products too. So it's just been an interesting journey over the years with I started out, I would say, just as internet was coming on. So, when Google became a thing, that was it feels like now with AI coming on that how it felt then,
I
you know?
agree. I mean, like a
Yes.
thousand percent agree. Feels just like that. Yeah.
Yes, it's totally weird to be kind of going back to that and like, oh, and internet opened up everything, and
Yeah.
email and just being able to communicate quickly and get
Mhm.
get things faster. So, um, you know, I I I would say it's weird because while a lot's changed, not a lot has changed.
Yeah. Yeah. And
You know?
back then we thought, oh, marketers, are we going to have a career anymore? Are we going to, our job's going to be replaced by this internet thing? And
Yep.
here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally interesting and it's exciting too. Overwhelming, I'd say.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it's becoming a little overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, we could go in all these different directions, but to
Mhm.
just stay level and focused and do, what we know is working and there we're still succeeding. So
Yeah.
it's not like, but it can get easy to get caught up in, oh, let's go over here. Let's.
All the shiny objects.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of your observations about just moving from other B2B companies into this industrial space? What's different? What feels the same? What challenges have you faced ramping up in your time now at Novaspect?
Yeah, so I would say the thing that I've done with every company I've worked in, I've always been new to whatever industry it is. So getting immersed in that industry is really important. Trying to figure out who the customers are, what the market is like, just reading the magazines, listening to the voices, joining the industry marketing groups, just seeing who the players are, listening to customers, interviewing subject matter experts. That's been kind of how I get caught up and up to speed. and it doesn't take long, but it's just getting in there, like learning to speak their language is kind of what how I do, because if I'm gonna do any marketing, any messaging to customers, I need to know how they think, how they speak, what I guess jargon they use, what the things they talk about. I just kind of become a spy, and then there's so many good tools now, social media, Reddit, different places, LinkedIn, just trying to spend all the time there, you'll find and uncover things that are relevant. And I also joined, there was an opening on the ISA, the International Society of Automation, our local chapter. There was an opening for a marketer. So even though it doesn't seem like it's extra time than my job, it's just been worthwhile to get the experience, to do the networking, and just something extra you can do to get information about the industry. So those
I
are, yeah.
admire that. What I didn't hear you say is I didn't hear a lot of hesitancy in how you describe this. And it can be very intimidating when you're working with engineers and technical buyers to do voice of customer interviews or to join that ISA group, which by the way, that's outstanding. I mean, talk about a comfortable way to talk to people casually even and get to know these personas that you're dealing with. So did you have to overcome some of that, or how did you do that? How did you ramp up to where you felt really comfortable interacting with customers and prospects for your own brand?
Yeah, it can be intimidating because I don't know a lot of times the technical aspects,
Mhm.
but knowing, I guess, knowing what is important to the audience. What I always try to answer the question, why should I care about this, or why should someone else care about this conversation? So if I'm going to do an interview with a subject matter expert, or anyone really talking to them, like I try to understand what's the bigger picture, why, because it can get kind of down in the details, some of these calls, or people, yeah, like people don't know what they're trying to, the point they're trying to get across. So just
Yes.
asking them the questions, trying to understand, why should someone else who's reading this, what's going to matter to them, and trying to get to that important piece.
Yeah. Not
You
the
know,
how, but the why, the business
yeah,
impact, the technical impact. Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
I can tell that you are a content writer. Like at heart, your passion
yeah,
is getting to the so what in your content. It shines
hmm,
through. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Good. So you came in, you learned the acronyms, you learned the products, you've talked to the leadership in
hmm.
addition to customers and prospects. Tell me a little bit what it's like working with leaders at industrial companies, because these engineer executives can be a different breed.
Yes, yes, yeah. Yeah, just learning what they're comfortable with. I always use this, I think of our president is very approachable. Um, and one day he came, and he's fun. One day he came into the office wearing these bright striped pants, the red and white striped pants, and it was because I think one of his college basketball teams, or but one of the sports teams had won. And so he was celebrating with these pants, and he was doing a management meeting. And I'm like, wow, that's so fun, and as a marketer, it's like these are the things I want to show other people because it makes us human, approachable, all those things. So I took a picture of him wearing these pants and presenting to the managers, and we posted, and I said, is it okay if we post this on social media, on LinkedIn? And I just him wearing those pants, like it was one of the most popular posts. And it was noticeable to me one on one when he was wearing the pants. So other people appreciate that too. And it's something out of the ordinary that we could post. And I'm really glad that I work for an organization where they're comfortable putting themselves out there and doing something out of the ordinary, like, like doing something nonsensical, and people respond to that. So it doesn't always have to be material that, it just wakes people up. It jars them. I mean, we could post all day about our valves or about, like we just be like, hey, look, and people are responsive to that. But at the same time, it's like you need to catch people's attention and, um, that's, like trying to understand how brains work, like
Yeah, and putting some human element into it, which
yeah,
is all the more important with all the AI content slop, right?
yes,
Is having that actual voice from the actual people and photos and demonstrating your culture. And I know another way you did this, I mentioned before we hit the record button, was I was looking at your company's LinkedIn page and I saw a lot of interviews that you were doing with your technical experts and salespeople at trade shows. So
yep,
tell me a little bit about the why behind that and how that went and the good
yeah.
and the bad and all that.
Well, we do follow True Marketing, and one of the things that we noticed is, video content is popular. And so one of the things we've been wanting to do this year, been wanting to make more video content. So we were planning to go to this big industry trade show, and we were going to have a big booth and some of our products there and some of our salespeople. And one of the things that I find appealing when I watch some of the content from shows is the videos. And, when you interview someone or kind of get a demo, kind of why people go there is to get these demos and talk to some of the salespeople. So we went there with the plan to talk to the salespeople and get a demo. They're like, oh, this isn't something we want to do. And whose idea was this? And we're
Do I
like,
have
yeah.
to? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny
Oh,
because we were all kind of nervous about doing it, but then came back with the video, and our video editor Ryan, he did some YouTube shorts, and we just put them up, and some of them right away without any posting did better than any of our video content.
wow.
So it's kind of a new thing we're trying. It's not new to the world, but it's new to us and something we're trying to feel our way with, and hopefully make more and do more of this to get more people following us, and maybe a younger audience too. We're trying to figure out how to get in front of newer people who are coming up in the industry who will be our future customers. So, trying to be appealing to them too. So it's
Have
interesting.
have any of the sales guys really grabbed onto this and they're starting to do videos aside from what you're forcing upon them? I'm
Well, a
just
lot of
curious.
them are doing different content on LinkedIn and playing with AI and doing things like that, like how AI can give you funny caricature pictures and things like that. So we had been watching them doing these things on their own LinkedIn pages. So we knew that they would kind of be open to trying something else. And we tried to do it professionally, but we weren't scripted or anything, and you could tell we were nervous. But I really don't think that matters. It's just like people, understand and know, and you really can't mess it up. It's so quick on social media that, you know, even if it wasn't the best video, it goes
It
away,
goes
right?
away. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Or it goes viral, who
yeah,
knows?
yeah.
But
Of course, then it
usually
would.
with these, viral's relative for our industry,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, good. When you think back a year or so to now, anything else that you're doing differently or have found is changing, or maybe things that aren't as effective as they were a year ago?
I would say anything that we do repeatedly that kind of feels like you're just kind of going through the motions rather than creating something new is kind of what gets old or stale for me as a marketer. It's like, all right, um, I one thing that has changed is we are using AI to create content a lot more. I think that it's been tempting to be like, oh, well, you can make so much more, just make a lot more. But the challenges are still there of how to make this sound unique, how to make it sound fresh, how to make it interesting that somebody wants to read, and that takes the same amount of time, editing and trying to make things just something a human would want to read. So, um, I think that's been the challenge too is, all right, well, yes, we can do more, but like, let's focus and let's still keep with our strategy and just, the trying new things and maybe doing things we haven't done, to keep it fresh
Yeah.
instead of just being repetitive. And because people, I think, come to expect repetition and it's no longer interesting. So,
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
yeah,
That's this old dated, I guess, inbound marketing playbook, for lack of a better word, of let's say this different ways, but we're saying the
hmm
same thing just over and over. And that's now a negative score on your SEO and AEO efforts rather than a positive score. Thank
yeah,
goodness, because that was just, ugh, too,
yeah,
in its own way. Um,
yeah,
so I having that unique point of view, getting to
yeah,
the why this is important, and those aren't things that can be easily just delegated to a large language model to write, right?
yeah, yeah. Putting yourself out there, encouraging others within the organization to do that too. I mean, I've noticed this past year we've had a lot more people raising their hand to speak at events, and just wanting to get that exposure. That it's not always about like how much money you spend, it's just what you're doing and how, you can find opportunities anywhere and it doesn't always have to cost a lot, but it's just, all right, take the time extra to write something or go speak at an event or go meet one on one with people. And I mean, I find opportunities, and I'm not in sales necessarily, but one of the things that our company, I've just been getting a lot, like we want to enter into data centers. So I'm a member of this ISA where I'm on the marketing, and we had a speaker come in talking about data centers, and I was like, oh, finally, like I've been doing this for a long time, and in every technical presentation I'm always like, I don't understand, I'm not sure, I'm not sure what they're talking about. But then then we got this great data center presentation, So it's just making those connections in the industry, and a lot of our employees are doing it now too. Even our HR is going out there with thought leadership and how to attract new talent. And these are
Excellent.
topics that are very timely for industry, I think everybody's struggling with that, finding the talent to have that expertise in there. And that topic's very relatable, and we face it as an organization too. So our HR group, they're um, now presenting out on topics like that, and so
Nice.
I'm trying to find ways to include that information and that content, and when other employees are kind of shining out there, like how can we bring that into our organization and encourage more of that behavior and creating content as a culture. I mean, this is
Mhm.
something, a new concept to me too. I'm like, all right, how do I, um, in, how can I do more with that internally
Yeah.
to encourage our own employees to um, be like content creators, because people watch that, and they like, uh, I think it gets sticky because other their network sees it and they like them, they know them.
Mhm.
So, I
It does
mean,
get sticky. You're absolutely
yes.
right. And I was Morgan, Morgan on
hmm
our team at True, and she's our brand messaging guru, and oftentimes she'll teach about how the same corporate message can be applied to all these different levels within the company, right? So if
hmm
it's a data center campaign, say for your company, well, the CEO has a different message than the, director of whatever service and so forth. And so it's coming at it not just being a parrot of the company message, but what is your own point of view on that subject and, why you're entering this market and what it means. And
Hmm.
I thought that was enlightening because I always think of it as being, oh, here's the message, now who should deliver it, rather than, oh, there's all these different ways, different takes on that
Yeah.
same message. So, yeah. So I'm back to the recruiting thing real fast. I'm curious, is marketing formally supporting your recruiting goals as say do you have KPIs on it or a campaign, or is it more, oh, they're doing these things, let's amplify it through our channels?
Our marketing content creation is almost its own, and then our talent management, they do their own content creation too. Sometimes we kind of work together on a joint email campaign, or if they want to do an email campaign internally. So our corporate communication and the external communication, um it's interesting because we all do content, I guess, but at the same time, we are on the same page, and we do try to present the same message, the same unified voice, but it's a different group entirely. So
Okay,
but we
interesting.
try
Yeah.
to, we're one thing that I'm trying to do is, encourage, if they are going to do something, to include us, involve us, so that we'll, go cover it or something. I like to be there and be present and try and get the gist or the essence of what they spoke about and repurpose that content, So a lot of times these things will happen and can go unnoticed, but if we hear about it, we can feature it some other way. Use the material. Someone spent the time to do a presentation and make the material. We might as well. Um, One of the things we're trying to do is do shorter LinkedIn snippets of maybe quotes or expertise, knowledge that we could share in smaller ways. So that's something we're going to try and do too more of. It's like, who has the time to do all this
Yeah.
stuff? It's like,
Find
yeah,
the
there's
time.
all
Hey,
these things.
that's why we
Yeah.
agencies exist, just for
Yes.
money.
True.
We're definitely on LinkedIn finding that those carousels are still very popular. So something else to keep in mind.
Yeah.
And there's this funny debate right now between the really long posts and the short ones, because now people say, oh, if it's a really long post, it's probably written by AI and not a
Yes.
person. And then of course, video is always popular with
Yeah.
captions. So, everybody's trying different things on LinkedIn, and overall it's just a lot.
Yes.
It's getting very noisy. So I think it's good that you're being thoughtful about,
Hmm.
what you put up there, why you're putting it up there, and how to make it digestible. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're in good things here.
Yeah.
Um, what advice do you have for marketers that are new to working at technical companies? How do you
I
make them comfortable with all this?
When I was just starting out in my career, I think that my focus was always, just because I didn't know, and it was kind of a newer concept at the time, but I thought, as a marketer, when you message, to put marketing is like, look like everyone else. And instead of, I started taking courses and trying to learn, and this whole buyer persona and voice of the customer thing started. I started learning about that and how to get that into your product marketing, and it just kind of opened up a whole new world for me. And I remember people who had experience, trying to share with me, like when they would read some of my work or some of my messaging for websites or stuff like that, they're like, it just wasn't landing with them. And I remember the one person saying to me, like, what does the customer think? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, Like, this is what I'm trying to say. And they're just like, well, but what does the customer believe and what are they trying to do? What's a win for them? And what's their worldview and all these things. I'm like, you are speaking a whole nother language to me. I had no idea
Yeah.
what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And I finally started to understand that my job wasn't necessarily to shove things down people's throats. It was to attract them, to be a magnetic too. And um, it just changed. It changed my whole perspective on what I
Yeah.
was trying to do, and that it wasn't me trying to get them to understand me. It was me trying to understand them. And
With your spy hat on. I like what
yes,
you said earlier about that. Once
yeah,
in by doing that, I imagine that you earned the respect of the sales team, the executive team, because you weren't an order taker, a tactical doer. You came in and really wanted to get into the strategy, and be a value add to even business conversations.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having that empathy for the customer and then also for the people internally too who work with customers and, h- how can marketing help and be a part of and contribute and it's helped me build relationships with customers and then also internally too. And that's so important, because we hear a lot about how marketing isn't aligned with sales and all those things. And it's just, it doesn't have to be that way. It's like, all
No.
right, well,
Yeah.
get involved and have the conversations and talk with salespeople. And they really do enjoy, I think, the marketing side of it. And I enjoy the sales side of it too.
Yeah.
I enjoy working with sales and doing things together and those things should be really close,
Yeah. Well, and when we look at more and more of the buyer's journey online, right, that stat continues to grow every year. We report on it in our research report. So now it's up to, I forget if it's 62 or 64%. And so if I'm a salesperson, I need to get in front of them sooner than when they're, over half of that journey is over. And so I think you're on the right path here of training on LinkedIn and videos and helping them to position themselves to where either they're influencing without that one-to-one conversation, through those channels, or they're building confidence in them as a subject matter expert where people want to come to them sooner. So,
yeah.
yeah, look how much you're helping those sales guys in short. I believe in you.
It was fun and they couldn't wait. They want to do more, they want to
Good.
do more videos. We'll do more with different products. I like when they show and talk about products and give people act. Not everyone can go to these shows, so it's
Correct.
kind of nice to give that experience if people aren't there. So
It is.
yeah.
Very good. Well, how can people meet you or connect with you and learn more about Novaspect?
Our website is novaspec.com and our we're on LinkedIn and then I have a LinkedIn page too if you want to connect. I like working and with other people in the field and getting to know them better and following their work and we just learn from each other. And that's the nice thing about, today with the technology is we can connect and collaborate and learn from each other and share those best practices and don't have to, fumble around.
Yeah.
So
And it's pretty neat that the Emerson Impact Partners have what is your marketing group called? All the marketers
it's
get together.
it's like the M3 it's called and
Yeah.
strategic growth partners and all the marketers all of us get together I'd say once a year and share what's working and we're
Yeah.
all like little doppelgangers of each other so we go to like oh hey it's like an office just like ours
But
you
it's
know
it's it's really neat that you have a built-in peer
hmm
network that you didn't have to build yourselves. But if those listening don't have that, I mean, I imagine you get a lot of value and empathy out
yes
of that group. So
yes
encourage everyone to do that. And of course, we helped build the Industrial Marketing Summit also for that reason, to give
yes
people that community of like-minded marketers. So
Yeah,
Little
that's
plug in for
something.
that event.
Well, yeah, and I find that that's been helpful just being a part of that and then doing those live calls where they'll cover topics
Mhm.
over a webinar type environment. It just
Yeah.
builds community and that's something even for the future that I'd like to explore for our own company is ways to build community within industries and our industries and I think that's a good way for people to connect.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds like a good candidate for your next marketing plan.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, Nate, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really enjoyed our conversation.